No, I am not going to talk about Diesel and Mabel again. As per my list of matches I want to stop talking about, I am done with that mudslide of bollocks, and we should talk about things that have not been discussed into a shallow grave. SummerSlam season is upon us as WWE attempts to put together a card that can compete with going out for a nice walk on a beautiful summer's evening, and as I get older that choice becomes more one-sided every year. SummerSlam can be a really weird show. In terms of importance, SummerSlam is number 2 behind WrestleMania, but often feels much more a part of ongoing storytelling than Mania's card full of feud enders. As such, WWE treats it like Mania in the sense of putting together some show-stopping matches, including Cameron's favourite match ever, but also doesn't treat it like Mania by having a bunch of these matches occasionally be stuffed with narrative embuggerants in order to keep plates spinning. WWE takes some big creative swings at SummerSlam, and sometimes that leads to big creative misses. I'm Adam Hailing from partsFUNknown, and here are the 10 biggest mistakes WWE made with SummerSlam.
Alright, let's try an experiment. I'll say a word and you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay? Mobile. Alright, an interesting choice. How about RPG? Well, we all know what Pete is thinking about, the mucky pup. What if I say Raid? You thought Shadow Legends too? Blimey, we're more alike than you think. Yes, that's right, this is an ad read for Raid Shadow Legends. Because this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, you can hear me talk about things like its awesome collection of over 700 unique champions, a super detailed and tactical RPG battle system, incredible graphics, and an intense combination of PvE and PvP content, because that's what Raid Shadow Legends brings to you. Got a new phone? Need to fill it with things because your life is so empty? Enter Raid Shadow Legends with awesome visuals, loads of powerful champions, challenging PvE bosses, and tactical PvP content. And they've just added a fearsome new boss, Akumori, the Phantom Shogun. This undead general is guarding everything you need for Accessory Ascension, a new feature that allows you to upgrade your gear to even greater heights. All sounds exciting, right? Well, scan our QR code on screen or use the link in the description to get awesome bonuses like Epic Champion Drake and other useful things that will help you on the battlefield. Thank you to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Raid that raid.
Number 10, the most overbooked match in wrestling history. What the dick was this, though? And WWE wonder why no one wants to see another John Cena Randy Orton match for as long as their hearts beat. Webster's Wrestling Dictionary defines overbooking as an overabundance of storytelling elements that serves to lessen the overall enjoyment of a match. And this is some dead-ass overabundance. In this WWE Championship match at SummerSlam 09, John Cena somehow wins the match twice, but doesn't win the title, and Randy Orton manages to win twice, but only wins once. You're right to be confused. It's a perfectly serviceable match up until a point when out of nowhere, Randy shoves the ref who calls for a DQ. Lillian Garcia incorrectly announced Orton as the winner of the match before stating that Vince McMahon wants the match restarted with Orton losing the title on another DQ. So they wrestle a bit more, Orton then gets counted out. Bell rings, another message from Vince's McMarionette Lillian Garcia restarting the match. Randy then pins Cena with his foot in the ropes. Bell rings, match restarted by a second ref coming down, then a fucking fan runs in and gets involved, distraction, RKO, Orton retains, and that is too much sports entertainment for me, thank you. Way to make a marquee SummerSlam match for the belt with your company's name on it look like a Panic at a Student improv night. Number 9, those Great Khali singles matches. He's had 3 singles matches at SummerSlam. For 3 years running, the biggest party of the summer featured the patron saint of slow-moving high trousers having a one-on-one match, and they were all to casual entertainment what a hammer is to a goose. At SummerSlam 07, Batista and Great Khali fought for the World Heavyweight title in one of the worst matches in the history of either SummerSlam or the World Heavyweight title, deciding, it's worth another go though, WWE booked Khali versus Triple H for the WWE title at SummerSlam 08 in a match that was better, but only in the way that losing an eye is better than losing a child. Finally, at SummerSlam 2009, Khali and Kane fought one-on-one. That was fucking bad. Fun fact, Kane and Great Khali had 8 televised singles matches in their careers. All of them were bad. All of life is bad. Death is coming, and he's walking towards you so slowly that you'll be bored and let yourself think of better things, and then those hands will wrap around your skull, and then it's time for a dance-off, an eternal dance-off as the bamboo cage lowers down around you. Number 8, your 2 biggest stars versus 3 old men. I guess we can't really complain about this being the main event of SummerSlam 1991, when the actual main event of SummerSlam 1991 was a wedding between 2 people who'd already been married for 7 years and were actually only 1 year away from divorce. There was a lot wrong with SummerSlam 91, the last proper SummerSlam of the Hulkamania era that was running on borrowed time. It was a show where the Ultimate Warrior got suspended immediately afterwards over a much publicised Barney with Vince. It featured a series of skits of the Mountie being sent to prison, ending with a gay prisoner sliding riding up to him to ask how leather feels against his body. The actual fun angle that came out of the wedding, Jake Roberts hiding a snake in a box to frighten the wedding party, not making it onto the broadcast despite the wedding taking up the last 20 damn minutes of the pay-per-view. But the worst has to be the main event match. Hogan and Warrior not fighting each other, because who'd want to see that? Instead fighting old-ass Sergeant Slaughter, older-ass Colonel Mustafa, and oldest-ass General Adnan. Watching your two biggest stars crash bridge night at the Gulf War Veterans Home is not anyone's idea of a SummerSlam. Number 7, slaying the monster among men. Now this is more of a mistake that's easier to point out in hindsight. After all, would WWE have crowned Roman champion at SummerSlam 2018 if they'd known he would be gone 2 months later to continue his battle with leukemia? I mean, it's WWE, so maybe. But even if Roman had gone on in full health, not going with Strowman was a huge fumble, and at SummerSlam, not only was that the time to do it, but it also looked like WWE were going to do it. Braun caught fire in 2017, ironically in his feud with Roman Reigns, where he ascended to an utterly charming Looney Tunes character of imaginative carnage. While he spent the rest of the year failing to win the Universal title, he was still protected in doing so, and fans still popped for him up until he won Money in the Bank the next year. At the following SummerSlam, he emerged to a thunderous ovation to say he had next after the main event of Roman Brock 4, yes 4, was over. Instead, Brock F5'd him, threw his case away, Roman won, things were confusing, Braun turned heel, started hanging out with Dolph Ziggler, then failed his actual cash-in when a Hell in a Cell match ended by a no contest. After that, fans completely gave up on him, and even though he would win the Universal title at Pandemic Mania, he'd never be as hot or as mishandled as SummerSlam 2018. Number 6, hey, Brock killed a guy. People probably remember SummerSlam 2016 most for being the show that debuted the Flayed Man as its new top title, and sure, the title looked silly and those in attendance severely hurt the match for it between Rollins and Balor with their chants, myself included. It's a pretty good main event for SummerSlam though, guarantee of a new champion between two of the hottest young wrestlers in the business, which makes it all the more baffling of a decision that instead of closing the show with that match, WWE closed the show with a man getting his head caved in by what would happen if someone tried to build a Von Trapp out of the limbs of dead serial killers. I mean, SummerSlam is the biggest party of the summer, and WWE certainly did nail what a party looks like, right up until the point where someone gets seriously hurt and everyone goes a bit quiet and then awkwardly goes home. Oh cool, Randy's lying in a pool of his own blood. Good night everybody. WWE, you're so weird, all the time. What do you think fun is? And why won't someone tell you? Number 5, the King's uncrowning. This entry will see me complaining about a time when not only did Mick Foley win a world title, but Triple H did not win a world title. I know this isn't normal behaviour, but at SummerSlam 1999, it was absolutely the game's time. He was a hot heel on the rise, the champ Austin was slowing down and would soon need neck surgery, Mick Foley was there to eat the pin, Triple H absolutely should have walked out of the triple threat match at SummerSlam 1999 as WWE champion, making a strong statement about the beginning of a brand new era. Instead, Mankind won it, and Triple H won it the next night on Raw, which is some weak-ass baloney. Rumour has it that either Austin didn't want to drop it to Triple H, or that special guest sexual Tyrannosaur Jesse Ventura didn't want to be pictured raising a heel's hand at the end. Whoever's right, and it's probably a combination of everyone and no one, this was the wrong call, as it would take almost half a year for Triple H to become a credible champion. It didn't help that they had Big Show and Vince beat Trips. In the time in between, of course, Triple H finally became the man by beating Cactus Jack at the infamous Royal Rumble 2000 street fight, finally a result worthy of a Big 4 pay-per-view. Number 4, the Goldberg thing. And now let's talk about a time Triple H should absolutely f***ing not have won a World Championship match at SummerSlam. I think I've talked about this match precisely 168 times, but here we go again. Goldberg joined WWE in 2003, going on a run of 2 long but serviceable matches that established him as an undefeatable force. So the lad was hot going into the World Heavyweight title Elimination Chamber match at SummerSlam 2003. Late in the match, in comes Goldie, beats Orton, Michaels, Jericho in quick succession, then immediately succumbs to one sledgehammer shot, and the game wins. Don't look on from TNA and laugh, Sting. It'll happen to you. The reason was that Triple H was injured, so instead of using that injury to explain a title change and have Triple H come back later for the proper rematch, they used the injury to somehow keep the title on the game, arguing that because Triple H couldn't do much in this match, that this wasn't the right match to do a title change. I mean, Trips may have been a master negotiator, but knowing when to pull the trigger on a hot competitor wasn't exactly his strong suit back then. Number 3, 2015, the year of shit finishes. Oh, SummerSlam 2015, you're so weird. The show was built around two main matches, John Cena versus Seth Rollins in a WWE and US title unification match, and the big rematch of Lesnar versus Taker from WrestleMania 30. Both of these matches delivered like crazy for the most part. Rollins versus Cena being a shining example of a big match John pay-per-view bout, and the other having the violent intensity so sorely missing from the Lesnar-Taker match at Mania. It's just a shame that both matches were marred by finishes that were absolute jackrabbit nonsense. The WWE title match ends with a shocking run-in from SummerSlam host and history's saddest political horse, Jon Stewart, who helped Rollins win because of vague Ric Flair-related reasons, and not one word of that last sentence is untrue somehow. That's bad enough, but hey, it isn't the main event, so I guess that's something. The main event ends over one of the worst booking tropes in wrestling history, timekeeper confusion. Lesnar locks in the Kimura, the timekeeper rings the bell despite the ref not calling for it, which is a bold play in the main event of your employer's second biggest show of the year. Then Taker hits his old man angry at Cloud's low blow, wins the match, and it's also undramatic and confusing. A really solid show, hurt by some truly baffling creative. Number 2, the gender experiment fumbles on. 2016, Shinsuke Nakamura debuts in WWE and has one of the best matches of the year with Sami Zayn before winning the NXT Championship twice. 2017, Shinsuke Nakamura is called up to the main roster, feuds with Dolph Ziggler, has a lovely moment with Styles at Money in the Bank, wrestles a great match with John Cena on SmackDown, then, checks notes, loses to Jinder Mahal at SummerSlam in a match for the WWE Championship. What a stupid thing. Sure, there's some merit to the argument that Shinsuke Nakamura shouldn't have won the WWE Championship after only being on the main roster for 3 months, but I think the better argument is that the WWE Championship match on any given pay-per-view shouldn't be the match that everyone wants to fast forward through. I don't know, I didn't expect the choice of who should be WWE Champion, a Wrestle Kingdom main eventer, or a guy used to be in a jobber rock band and who couldn't wrestle above dark match quality, to be such a tricky one. But WWE sure did find a way to make that, and my love of wrestling, deeply tricky. And number 1, you the Nexus. Wrestling has unwritten rules. Ric Flair is incapable of hitting any move off the top rope. You can't powerbomb Billy Kidman, and if you're trying to make a wrestler into a big deal, they should probably win their first pay-per-view match. In June 2010, the Nexus rolled into WWE like a tsunami, obliterating everything and everyone in their path. It was a bold and brave way of spotlighting a whole raft of new talent and establishing a hot company-wide angle that could run and run. Over the next few pay-per-views, the Nexus imposed their will before the stage was set for SummerSlam. Team WWE versus Team Nexus in a 14-man elimination match featuring the Bash Street Kids taking on 6 WWE legends and R-Truth. Not only did they stack all the talent into one match at the top of the card, seriously, the undercard of SummerSlam 2010 is one of the worst ever, but they also ballsed up the finish to that match with John Cena super Cena-ing back from being DDT'd on the concrete floor to win the match, knocking off Justin Gabriel and Wade Barrett in quick succession. Even though the plans were to run with the Nexus for many more months afterwards, WWE had them lose their first big showcase. And from that point on, the group began to fracture and never recovered their once cherished momentum. Party. And that's our list. What do you think the worst moments of SummerSlam are? Let us know in the comments. You can check out last week's list right now.
Serious question, is the Intercontinental Championship my favorite championship in wrestling history? I don't know how I can expect you to answer that because last time I checked, you're not me and you never will be. Despite WWE's best efforts to make the title irrelevant during the dark days of the 2010s, I think it might just be my favorite title. It's the Maximum Effort Championship.